Since the election last week, there is a spike in hate incidents. CNN's Miguel Marquez has a story. Miguel?
Don, the incidents are concerning, and they've happened coast to coast, participating everyone from adults to kids, targeting everyone from African Americans to Latinos to gays and lesbians to Muslims, even celebrities.
Compromise.
The rise of hate. A protester pushed down a flight of stairs in the midst of an anti-Trump rally at Ohio State University. The student who did the pushing arrested for assault. The bitterness of an ugly campaign taking new form after the surprise election of Donald Trump. Build the wall, a Trump signature phrase chanted by middle schoolers in Detroit, Michigan, taunting Latino students during lunch period. The advocacy group, the Southern Poverty Law Center, has researched and solicited claims of harassment nationwide since the election. 437 incidents so far, an apparent sharp increase. 140 on November 9th alone, the day after the election. Since then, reports have decreased significantly.
Say it right to the camera, stop it.
The president-elect himself made a plea for calm in his first television interview.
I'm going to bring this country together.
The incidents run the gamut. Swastikas scratched onto doors of Jewish students at a New York New School dorm. Trump Nation, whites only, scrawled on the sign of a Latino church in Silver Spring, Maryland. Heil Trump, a swastika, and Fag Church spray-painted on St. David's Episcopal in the small town of Bean Blossom, Indiana. Celebrity Clinton supporter Emmy Rossum trolled on Twitter this image of Auschwitz with Trump's name added. The message: this is in all of your ilk's future. You will be seeing a train shortly. Hollywood days of subjugation is over. Sig Heil.
Did you see my military information?
And in Dallas, African-American veteran Ernest Walker denied a free meal at Chili's on Veterans Day after a man wearing a Trump shirt questioned whether he truly served, allegedly saying that he had served in Germany and they didn't let blacks serve there. The manager took the Trump supporters' side.
Oh, now you're grabbing my food away from me? Oh, you're taking my food away from me now?
Taking away Walker's meal even after he showed his military credentials for him and his service dog. Chili's has issued a lengthy apology to Mr. Walker, thanked him for his service, and saying the Chili's manager has been removed. The Anti-Defamation League that tracks and combats anti-Semitism here in New York alone. They say that there have been 5 incidents in the last several days of anti-Semitism. They say these acts are only meant to breed fear and fuel anxiety. Don?
Miguel, thank you very much. Joining me now is Ernest Walker and his attorney, Kim T. Cole. Thank you both for joining me. Mr. Walker, to you first. First of all, thank you so much for your service, okay?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We just heard a little bit about what happened to you at Chili's on Veterans Day. Explain your interaction with a Trump supporter there.
Well, first of all, he really made me feel like I was almost like a slave who had to show paperwork to show my freedom. I do believe that I was singled out as a black man in that restaurant. And if it were not for the past temperature of the nation of this election, I don't think he would be as emboldened to approach me in the manner that he did and just outright, label me as a black man trying to steal food.
Had anything like that ever happened to you before this election?
No. I mean, I've had, racism, but just to be as bold as he was, he felt like he had the right to do this to me, and the manager participated in that.
Yeah, and that's the concern, that somehow this election has emboldened bigotry or given bigotry a platform or normalized it. I know you started filming on your cell phone. Let's watch and then we'll discuss.
Now you questioned my military service and you questioned my service dog. Well then, if you didn't see it, oh, now you're grabbing my food away from me. Oh, you're taking my food away from me now.
I'm so sorry. I don't.
Okay.
You didn't provide any documents for me.
Yes, sir. Yes, I did just provide documents to you, and they saw you. I want the police call at this point.
So, Mr. Walker, did police come?
Yes, they did.
What happened?
Well, obviously, the officer spoke with the manager, but you know, I tried to tell him that I need to file charges, but he, you know, refused to do so because you know, I had been assaulted. You know, I told him that I felt like, you know, the President of the United States, who had to produce his birth certificate. My DD-14 is my birth certificate from the military.
Yeah. You, to be clear, you provided documentation that you're a veteran and that you had a service dog. And was your dog wearing a vest?
Yes, he was. He was wearing a service dog vest, and I provided other ID as well.
Do you know what happened to the man who originally questioned whether you were a veteran?
I have no idea. You know, sometime, you know, when you're emboldened to treat people that way and you find out that, you know, you are wrong, you tend to, you know, be cowardice and run away. I have no idea. But I do know that, you know, the company said that the manager was, you know, removed. That does not mean fired. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the manager was, I think that he's been removed, but not necessarily fired. And let me read this. This is a statement that reads in part, this is from Chili's, and I want to get your response to this, Ms. Cole. It says, last week, Mr. Walker, a veteran, came into our restaurant to participate in our Chili's program honoring veterans and active military with a free meal. Unfortunately, Mr. Walker was not treated in a manner our veterans deserve. On the day where we serve more than 200,000 free meals as a small gesture of our appreciation for our veterans and active military for their service, we fell short. What more is Chili's doing for Mr. Walker, if anything?
At this point, we are still in discussions with Brinker International, the parent company of Chili's, and they have spoken directly with Mr. Walker via telephone and expressed their sincere apology for the incident that occurred, and we're working together to reach a resolution.
Why do you think this happened to him? Why do you think he was asked for his ID?
Because he's a black man. This is evident of a horrific trend that is sweeping the country right now. There is, you've shown instances of racism and all kinds of hatred all across the country, and this is indicative of a much larger problem that we're facing here. And
you think it's a direct result of the election?
I think it's a direct result of the people who were motivated and emboldened by this entire campaign. This campaign was run on hate and bigotry, and it inspired a lot of people to hate.
Mr. Walker, your service dog has an interesting name. Tell us about that.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. He didn't like my dog's name. I told him my dog's name was Barack, and you know, he really didn't like that at all.
The Trump supporter or the manager?
The Trump supporter. You know, he's the gentleman that came by and rubbed my dog, and he has the name of it, and I said Barack, and you know, at that point, he didn't seem too happy about that.
As a member of the military, Donald Trump will soon be your commander-in-chief. What do you say to him?
Well, I'm not a member of the military anymore, but we need to stop the hatred, and he needs to retract a lot of things that he said and try to bring down the temperature of this country before we are looking like some third world country.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Thank you, Ms. Cole.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
And
Thank
again,
you.
And again, thank you for your service. Straight ahead, why are people feeling emboldened to commit acts of disrespect and worse? More on that next.